Imagine this. You're in a situation where you're trying to persuade someone, but every single time you try to make your point, that person disagrees with you. And in order to effectively persuade them, you gotta get your point across. So how do you get your point across when someone keeps disagreeing with you? Well, sit down and stay tuned, because in this video, I'm gonna solve that problem for you. The worst thing that can happen to you when you're trying to persuade someone is for that person to say no to everything that you say. And let's be real, there are many people out there who are experts in saying no to people. It's what they specialize in. Well, don't worry, because there's actually a language pattern that can help you win in this kind of situation. This hypnotic language pattern focuses on reducing the resistance of the subject to your ideas by forcing agreement at every single turn. So how does this work? Well, think about it. People generally don't like it when other people disagree with them. Well, with the agreement pattern, you simply agree with a point that that person's making, but at the same time, you also add your own point at the end. The hypnotic language pattern in and of itself is very simple. I agree with A and would like to add B. So again, I agree with A and would like to add B. Now this pattern only has 3 essential elements, but it's an extremely powerful pattern that can be used in a variety of different situations, much like the redefining pattern, which I covered in another video. Here's a quick example. I agree that this new product is pricier than its counterparts and would like to add that it has extremely useful features that are not offered by any of the existing competitors. Now you can also combine the redefining pattern and the agreement pattern to create an ultra persuasive pattern that will really grip your subject. Here's how it works. I agree that this new product is pricier than its counterparts and would like to add that the issue here is not the price of the product, but how much time it's going to save you and how much more profit you're going to generate by using it, which I may add is being offered to you right now at a 30% discount. Now you might be wondering, does this mean that I have to say yes to every single thing that the other person says? Well, you do have to agree with the other person, but you don't have to agree with anything that they say that you don't necessarily like or really agree with deep down inside. Or you can just agree with something else so you can include the agreement pattern in your dialogue. Now, if you find yourself in a situation where you don't agree with anything that the person just said, you can always just agree that they said something to you. Now, I know this might sound a little odd, but it can work. Here's an example. I agree that you've just lambasted my business and would like to add that only someone with the least amount of professional experience would say something like that. Now, a lot of people would react to the fact that I just called someone an amateur with that statement. I mean, what good would the agreement pattern do if I just questioned someone's professional experience, right? I mean, here I am trying to use a pattern where I'm in agreement with someone and yet I'm questioning them. Well, it's still better to agree with people than to disagree with them. People are universally hardwired to get along with others who agree with them. Even if the agreement doesn't benefit them, they still react positively to agreements. Agreement frames are excellent during arguments and heated situations and debates because they actually diffuse other people's defenses automatically. You see, if someone agrees with you, your brain is going to automatically lower its defenses. But the moment someone disagrees with you, all your logical and creative defenses are now up, and you're ready to fight tooth and nail to defend your position, even if your position is wrong, even if your position makes no logical sense, you're still gonna defend it. That's just how the human brain works. Now, it's not manipulation or being controlling. What this is simply taking advantage of the fact that people love hearing agreement and they love to hear and see other people agree with them. Under normal circumstances, people don't usually need to point out that someone lacks professional experience or competence or anything else like I just mentioned in that example. Most of the time, all you have to do is simply show the other person that there's another way of viewing or analyzing a particular issue. So for example, you could say, I agree that you just disagreed with my point earlier about real fur coats and would like to add that there are many ways of analyzing the fur trade issue and your take is just one of many. Now you have to be careful when you're using the words but and in your agreement pattern sentences because there's a difference between the way the mind perceives the statement when using the word but and using the word and. Normally, what people do is they agree with someone and then they follow up their agreement with a but. The word but is universally understood in the English speaking world as a sign of disagreement. There are rules of positives and negatives, just like anything else in life. When you combine a negative element and a positive element, the result is always going to be negative. It just doesn't work. So, if you say something nice or positive in the beginning, but then you follow that up with the word but, the recipient of the message will automatically know that you're about to disagree with them because the word but signifies disagreement. It doesn't matter how nice, encouraging, or positive you are when you said the affirmative or supportive part of the statement. You are still clearly disagreeing with the other person when you use the word but. Now, compare the impact of a statement that uses the word and instead of but. And I know this can take a little getting used to because we're all used to using the word but try this. Statement number one is what you typically would say to someone. I agree that the new project is over budget, but I would like to add that everyone that was working on this project was doing everything possible and everything within their means to stay within the budget. Now compare that to statement number two. I agree that the new project is over budget and would like to add that everyone was doing everything that they could do to stay on budget. Now, do you see the difference between those two statements? Notice that the second statement was affirmative throughout. The first statement sounded like I was making an excuse for being over budget. And the reality is this, no one likes excuses. An excuse often feels like a slap in the face, which is why it's universally disliked. Would you want to sound like you're trying to make an excuse while you're trying to persuade someone? Most probably not. So as much as possible, avoid using the word but when using the agreement pattern. Now, some of you might be thinking, the agreement pattern is nice, but is there any way to vary the outcome without reducing the impact of the pattern? Well, there are some variations that you might want to try out. Here they are. I almost agree with what you said and would like to add that. I don't completely agree with all the points that you've just raised, and I agree with almost all of the things you've said and would like to add that. I completely agree that you said blank and would like to add that. Now, these are just a few of the hypnotic language patterns that you can use to become more persuasive when speaking to other people. If you'd like to know more, make sure you check out hypnolanguage.com and be sure to subscribe to this channel so you get updates on more videos like this.